I have a square coil of wire. This device measures magnetic field, so this is a magnetic field sensor. That reading is displayed on the screen. If you're wondering why this is creating a magnetic field, I'll show you. This power supply right now, it's at 10 volts, coming out of here, comes in here, goes around 200 times, and then it spits out right here and then goes back to home. So there's no resistor, it's just basically a couple of amp and a half of current or so. And then one of the things I like to do before I get too far along is I like to put this right at the center here. This is the interesting part, in the center of the coil. I'm going to actually disconnect this cable. I'm just going to make sure this is zeroed out. That way, if there was some stray field from, say, the earth or other devices near here or a magnet nearby, hopefully this will get rid of most of it. I would not worry too much about the quality of these measurements. You'll see many of these numbers will only have one sig fig. So if you see me using a slightly sloppy measuring technique, like using the end of the meter stick to do a measurement instead of starting at a 0, it's just because I know the sig figs don't really matter compared to this sensor. So with that said, let's go ahead and get some measurements here. And for getting the size of this coil, you don't want to go from outer edge to outer edge. You actually want to go from about halfway to halfway. So what I'll do is I'll just put this meter stick here and let Angus get a shot of that. And so, again, normally you wouldn't use the end of the meter stick. And so it's probably a little under 20. I'm not sure exactly the size. Maybe it's 18. I don't know. But again, you want to go from the middle of this to the middle of that down there. So hopefully you could see that. Notice here where the sensor is located. You can see that dot there. It's going to measure the magnetic field going into or out of this. And I'm, again, not being perfect, but hopefully you can see, estimate where that sensor height is. It's maybe not perfectly in the middle of the square, but probably pretty close. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and turn this thing on, and then what we could do is we could measure the magnetic field. And so you're going to want to read the screen, and I'll shout out what the increment sizes, and I have to kind of eyeball this where the sensor is, so I'm going to do my best, and I'm assuming it's where this dot and that dot meet. Okay, so let's put this in. I'm going to crank up the current as much as I can, alright, just so we get a big value. Alright, so, alright, and now I'm going to start over here. Let's see. Let's go about 16. So again, I'm trying to eyeball this as best I can where the sensor is supposed to be going. And I think it's pretty much left-right. Did you see that on top too? They saw it. It's pretty good left-right. Just if you don't believe me, that's fine. Okay, so here we go. Make your best guess off that. Okay, so that's 16 centimeters away from the center. 14. 12. Am I going too fast, or is that about right?
That's all right.
10, 8, 6, 4, 2 centimeters away. Right there is about the center. Kind of hard for me to see. Okay, so that's the center. Now going the other way. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16.
Is that it?
Yep.